have Dr. Maher Hakim. He's an Associate Professor of Entrepreneurship at CMU and heads the Innovation Entrepreneurship Center. He has founded and headed several tech businesses. The title of his talk today is How to Make the Best You. So, please help me welcome Dr. Hakim to the stage.
Shukran. Thank you for having me.
Please, we're so glad to have you.
Let me see, I can see this better.
Now, to jump right into this, the first rule in your top 5 rules to making the best you is about discovering and pursuing your passion. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Okay. First of all, do you want to know why I made up the rules?
Of course.
Okay, so, I meet a lot of people who want to make a difference in their lives. They want to make a difference in the world. They want to do great things. And I've been thinking about it, and I thought, okay, the best way to start, if you want to make a better future for the rest of us, is to figure out a way to make the best you. So, how do you maximize your potential in life? I mean, think about going in life, and then at the end, you realize that I didn't really make the best me. I could have done better. I could have reached my potential. So the whole idea of coming up with ways is to 5 rules is that, what are the 5 things that if you can do, you can reach your full potential in life. So the number 1 is follow your passion, right? Which is, I know it's a cliche, a lot of people say it, and I know it's the hardest thing is to actually know what your passion is. But I think if you just start watching yourself, the things that you enjoy doing on a day-to-day basis, and you focus on those, even if they seem trivial at times, I'll give you an example. My passion was computers. But in the early to mid-80s, now I'm showing my age, computers were toys. So it wasn't really a good thing for a 16, 17-year-old boy to be playing with toys. But this is really what I enjoyed. So, and I persisted in saying, all I want to do in life is actually do things with computers, because they do amazing things, and if I learn more about them, I can do good things in my life. My mom wanted me to be a doctor, and I had 5 aunts, and they all helped raise me. So I had 6 mothers telling me every day I needed to be a doctor, and I got good grades in high school to be a doctor. But I told them I don't want to be a doctor, but I didn't really know what I wanted to be. So in 1980s, in Syria, I grew up in Damascus, there was no computer science department. There's no information system. These programs didn't exist. There was one college in Damascus that had a computer lab, and that was civil engineering. So I signed up for civil engineering, not because I love civil engineering, it's because I wanted to play with computers. So, and then I ended up graduating with a civil engineering degree, getting a PhD in computer-aided engineering, which is a joint program between engineering and computer science. And I spent 20 years of my life building technology companies based on information technology. My roommate in college was into video games. Really spent all his time playing video games. He got a job testing video games for like $5 an hour. And now he's the CEO of one of the largest video gaming companies in the world. So pursuing your passion actually helps maximize your potential.
Okay, so that would be the first one.
That would be the first one.
Well, the second one I know is to put in the time. So could you elaborate on that and just explain what that means for us?
So how many of you have read Outliers, the book, right? It says something. So in the book Outliers, he talks about the 10,000-hour rule, right? And the 10,000-hour rule really simply says if you want to become really good at something, you have to put the time to become an expert in it. So the nice thing about pursuing your passion is that it allows you to put the time that's required to become an expert in your passion. Steve Jobs said the reason you want to pursue your passion is that this is the only way you can actually put the time and hours that is required to be really good at something. So after you discover your passion, spend the time learning about it and becoming an expert to it, because that's another way to maximize your potential.
Well, moving down the list, the third rule is to find and do meaningful work. But could you define what you mean by meaningful? Because I feel like that's subjective at times.
True. What I mean by meaningful work is not important. It doesn't have to be important work. It doesn't have to be the best title. It doesn't have to be. So I get a lot of students come and ask me when they graduate, I have this job and this job and this job. Which one should I go? Which one should I take? And I tell them, don't worry about the most money. Don't worry about the name of the company. Go talk to your potential boss, your manager, and find out what you're going to be working on and find out if he cares. Because meaningful work means that work that other people find useful for them, right? So being a janitor is meaningful if people appreciate what you're doing, if you're creating an environment for other people to actually do something useful. You could be, I had a friend who was an advisor for the CEO of a large company, and he hated his job. Because all he does is create PowerPoints with some strategies for the CEO, and the CEO never reads them. Or worse yet, he reads them and doesn't do anything with them. So what's the point of having a fancy title in a big company if your work that you're producing, nobody cares about it? So find a job that if you do, other people care about it, they give you feedback, or they use. And if you find yourself in a job where this is not happening, just change it. Because I don't think it's worth it to spend your time doing something that other people don't appreciate. Because you won't find it meaningful. And if you cannot find it meaningful, you're not going to be excited about it.
It's true. The fourth point is about taking risks. So how can we all learn how to take such risks?
Okay, so this is, I think this is one of the important ones, because you are not going to find out. You're not going to reach your potential if you don't try really hard. And trying really hard at pushing yourself, meaning that you're taking risks. Let me give you a very simple example. Think about a 15-month-old toddler learning how to walk for the first time, right? Just if you have, if you have cousins, nephews, nieces, children that age, and you watch them how they learn how to walk, the first thing they do is they stand up and they're holding on the furniture pieces. Right? And then one day, he or she decides they're going to let go of their furniture piece. That's a huge risk they're taking because they haven't learned how to balance themselves yet. Right? So at some point, that toddler decides, I'm going to let go and I'm going to start seeing what happens. Now imagine if that toddler never took that risk. It's inconceivable because you cannot walk. So learning how to walk took taking risks by letting that furniture piece go. So now, think about how many things that you cannot do today, not because you cannot do them, is because you didn't take the risk to do them, right? So what happens when the toddler removes, let go of the furniture? What is the first thing that happens? They fall down. And then what do they say? Oh, I give up. I'll never walk. Forget about this whole walk thing, right? They don't say that. They try again. So what do we do after we fail?
We try again.
We try again. We should try again. But as we grow up, as we become adults, first of all, we stop taking risks. And secondly, if we fail, we say, oh, we're terrible at this. We cannot do it. But just learn how to act as a 15-month-old all your life. And you can think about all the different things that you can reach, you can actually discover in life. I always wonder what are the things that we as humans, we haven't really yet figured out that we can do, just simply because we stopped trying to do them. We grow up and then we stop taking as many risks as needed. So keep taking risks in your life because this is the only way you can really learn about what you're capable of doing.
Thank you. The 15-month-old example that you provided brings me back to your fifth rule, which is, as funny as it sounds, do not grow up. So I have to ask, it's your favorite rule, and can you share with us why that is?
So my fifth favorite rule is do not grow up. And of course I mean that, tongue-in-cheek, but it's really important to learn that there's recent research that have found out that the things that make people creative and innovative are the exact same things that kids have when they're young. And for some reason, as we grow older, we stop doing these things, so we lose these behavioral skills that enable us to become innovative and creative. The first one of these skills is questioning, right? So to be able to continue to become creative and innovative in life and to reach your potential, you have to continue to question the world around you. You have to continue to ask questions. So what is the favorite word of a 2-year-old boy or girl? Why, right? They constantly ask why. And what happens with the parents at some point, they say, well, just stop asking these questions. You're annoying, or you're embarrassing me, right? So we suppress that eagerness, that curiosity in the kids. And then when you enter school, you get embarrassed because if you ask why, people feel that you are stupid or you don't know enough. And then as you grow up in life, you go to meetings and people say, don't ask these questions, let the boss talk and stuff like that. So asking why and being curious is an important behavioral skill that allows you to continue to become innovative and creative. Keep observing the world, around you. So there's another thing that kids do, they stare. Why do they stare? Because they're really living the moment. They see somebody walking who looks different and they stare at them. And what do we tell them? Stop staring, it's bad. Staring is good because you're observing, right? So keep staring. What do? What do kids do? They experiment with things. They break things apart so that they can learn, how they work. And what do we learn as we grow up? Is that stop breaking things down, right? The last one, which is also one of my favorite, is an important behavioral skill that you should learn, or you should continue to do, to continue to become innovative and creative, is to network with people that are different from you. Talk and reach out to people that are very different from you. So as a kid, your parents tell you, don't talk to strangers. And who are the strangers? The strangers are people who are different from you. What has it turned out? That continuing to reach for people who are different from you help make you a better yourself too. So these are 4 different behavioral skills that you do as a kid that we lose when we grow up as adults that actually suppress your potential. So that's what I say. Stay as a kid or never grow up.
What I find truly interesting is that these childlike habits are encouraged later on in the future, and they are suppressed as you tend to grow up. So I just want to ask, how does one apply this to their own lives? I'm sure it's difficult at some points. Some people might be shy, some people might be too scared, so I just wanted to know.
I just think, keep in mind that these things are good for you to reach your potential.
That's true.
So, never stop asking a question. Never feel shy about asking a question. Never feel intimidated about asking a question. Continue to, travel. Go meet with people that are different from you. Network with people who are different from you because these are important. Continue to experiment. Continue to observe. Once you start limiting yourself and putting yourself in a box, then you are limiting your potential in life. And if you're limiting your potential in life, then you're not doing your share to contribute to a better world. And that's sad.
And that's time. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.